I'm going to start with one from Josh Robbins at Vault Promotions. Josh is my buddy, and I want to show you. So I typed these up. This was my question from Josh. So it's a pretty extensive question. So I'm going to kind of try and boil it down. Essentially, he asked, how do I manage to stay connected through social media, which so many of us need to do, right? We know from a business perspective, we need to be connected in social media. But right now it's tough. Anxiety levels are up, and with the division that has come from this election cycle and the pandemic and the murder hornets and racial tensions, while you want to stay connected, it's really easy to get taken off your game. And so he kind of asks, what practices or advice do you have to navigate the social seas? Do I limit my screen time? And then yet also be involved in a meaningful way during these times? So I think this is a great question. It's a great place to start. And I just want to start by saying I totally struggle with this too. I do need to be on social media for business, and not only for business, but I think because my company is much more of a marketing firm, we actually manage social media for other clients and things like that. So it's almost even more imperative. And it also blows up my notifications even more, right? I've got, from all my clients who get them, I get notifications from their stuff. So it is something that I struggle with. So I've done a few things, especially in the last probably 30 to 60 days. Number one, I think we need to give ourselves some grace. I think Brandon and I were actually talking just before we started this. This is a real thing, and we need to give ourselves grace that sometimes we do get caught up and swept away, because I think some of the things that we have done historically to have a social life have gone away, or at least they've diminished a great deal. It's harder you can't go to a ball game or a concert, or, have something that you would generally look forward to doing to get away from social media. Our entire social circle sometimes is built around Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook. And so I think that's one of the reasons that we're seeing so much anxiety around it. But one of the few things I've done, number one, I have went through the process, especially when I feel myself getting really worked up. I go through the process of actually hiding posts or hiding people who are truly mean-spirited, false, negative. Like, if you disagree with me, that's fine. But if you say things that are clearly, offensive or mean, over the last 30 to 60 days, I've just gotten rid of people like that, on both sides of the political spectrum and on both sides of most arguments. If you want to have a conversation, I'm usually interested in that. I'm not interested in you just saying mean things. And I've hidden posts that are the same way, that are just clearly false. And by the way, this is a side note, but I think that it would clean up Facebook a ton if we only posted things that were our own thoughts. If we actually were required to actually type up our own thoughts about things, I think that it would make Facebook a lot better, because we wouldn't be able to brainlessly share things that actually didn't encapsulate our views. If we want to post something, why don't you post something that's your own thoughts? Like I said, I've snoozed people for 30 days. I do struggle with this because I want to be careful not to create an echo chamber, right? Like, that only I hear from people who I agree with. So I've trying to walk that line. And then my final thought, and Josh is my buddy, and I think that he will appreciate this, but I think a really important rule is that you do not have to participate in every argument that you're invited to. One of my rules of life is rule number 2 is never argue with an idiot. They'll drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. I think so many times we're trying to convince people who are not interested in being convinced, and it's frustrating to both of us. And so those are a few things that I do to, I guess, navigate the social seas, which is, I believe, what Josh said. So that's my first question that I've gotten from the audience.